All right, guys, here's practice test 24. This may take a minute. A lot of stuff on this one. Number one, already ready to draw your number line. So I'm going to put my number line here. Remember, you put your zeros on there. So I'm going to put a -1 and a 4. All week we plugged in 100. If I plug in 100 at the first one, that gives me a positive number. That's positive. So if I plug in 100, I get positive. Remember, the signs alternate. You get that right there. Because I'm looking for less than 0, I'm looking for the negative. The negative is between the -1 and the 4. And that's all you do for number one. Number two is the exact same kind of problem, except you have to factor it first. So I'm going to factor, make it x plus 2, x minus 1. That's greater than 0. Draw your number line. That's a 1 right there. -2 goes on here, 1 goes on there. Plug in 100. That's going to be a positive. That's a positive. So where 100 is out there. It's positive. Signs alternate. This time I'm looking for a greater than 0, which are the positive answers, which is -infinity to -2, and also 1 to infinity. All right, let's keep going. Number 3. Again, I'm going to move the 49 over. I'm going to factor it. That's going to be a difference of squares. So I'm going to get x plus 7, x minus 7, greater than 0. So I'm going to draw my number line right here. I get a -7 over here, a +7, and you know what I'm about to do? I'm going to plug in 100. So that makes that 107, that makes that 93. They're both positive. So where's 100? It's past the 7. So everything out there is positive. Negative in there, positive out here. I'm looking for greater than 0, which is positive. So -infinity to -7, and also 7 to infinity. Number 4. Number 4 is kind of a weird one because when I first look at it and I bring the 6x over, it sure looks like it's going to factor. But the problem is the 4 and 2 will not give me a -8 and a -6 at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch it in my calculator. Okay, when I punch it in, I'm looking for the zeros. I'm looking for the x-intercepts, and here's what I found. I found -1.12 and 7.12. And looking at the graph is, you know, what I'm seeing is this and that. And so I found those 2 points. And because it says greater than 0, I want to know, where is it greater than 0? What's greater than 0 up there? You know, where's it above the x-axis? That's where the positive is, or the greater than 0. So it's above the x-axis from -infinity to -1.12. And it's also above the x-axis from 7.12 to forever. And that's just looking at the graph on your calculator. All right, let's go to 5. 5, move everything over. First of all, when I'm looking at 5, I'm kind of thinking, well, maybe I can factor by grouping. But then when I look at the coefficients, I got like 1, 2, and 5, 6. That's just not going to work. So I'm going to make a little list here. 1, 2, 3, and 6, all plus or minuses. Going to punch in the calculator. When I do that, it looks like it crosses the x-axis at 1. So I'm putting 1 in the box. I got to make sure. Like, it could be deceiving. So bring the 1 down, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. And sure enough, it does cross at 1. That leaves me x squared minus x minus 6. If I factor that, I get 3 and plus 2. And that's what I need right there. Okay, so I got x minus 3, x plus 2. Don't forget this first one, the 1. 1 is really x minus 1, and it's less than 0. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing we've been doing. I'm plugging in 100 to see what happens. If I plug in 100, I get a positive. They're all positive. So I'm putting the 3 here. Oops, no, I'm not. That's a positive 3. Why would I put that there? I'm putting -2 there, 1 there, 3 there. When I plugged in 100, it was positive. That's minus, plus, minus. Notice my sign is less than 0, so I'm looking for the minuses. It is negative from -infinity to -2. It's also negative from 1 to 3. Those should be brackets. That's my fault. Those are brackets because of the equal sign. All right, last one of these. Let's look at 6. Guys, 6 is factored by grouping. The first 2, I can take out an x squared. That leaves x plus 1. The second 2, I can take out a -4. That also leaves x plus 1. Now, because I have x plus 1 both places, I'm going to put x plus 1. That leaves me with, if I take those out, that leaves me with an x squared minus 4. Hopefully you notice that x squared minus 4 is really a difference of squares. So I'm going to go x plus 2, x minus 2. And now I'm ready for my number line, which is going to have a -2, a -1, and a positive 2 on it. Plug in 100. That's positive, that's positive, that's positive. 3 positives is positive, which means that's minus, that's plus, that's minus. Because it says greater than 0, I'm looking for the pluses. There's 1, there's the other. The pluses are between -2 and -1. And also from 2 to forever. Okay, so that's the first 6. Hope it made some sense. Number 7. Okay, now we got the fraction stuff. So it says list the critical values. I don't care if you list them, just make sure they're on your number line. And the critical values or whatever makes your numerator 0 and what makes your denominator 0. So this time, the only critical value for this one is 3. All right, and if I plug 100 in for x right there, it'd give me 1 over 97, which is positive. So negative's over here. I'm looking for positive. So I'm just going to say 3 to infinity. Okay, and that's it. Number 8. Number 8, same deal. What makes the top 0? 0 does. What makes the bottom 0? -1. Those are my critical values. So I'm putting -1 here, 0 there, plugging in 100. If I plug in 100, it's 500 on the top, 101 on the bottom. They're both positive. That's minus, that's plus. I'm looking for a greater than 0 again. Seems like I keep on looking for positive. So it's from negative infinity, -1, and also from 0 to infinity with brackets because of the equal sign. Number 9. So when it starts getting fun here, we got to combine those fractions together. So I'm going to combine the denominators, x minus 2, x minus 1. Remember the little trick we talked about this week? When you combine or subtract fractions, you can just cross multiply. So I'm going to multiply this way, get x squared minus 1. Because I have a subtraction sign, I'm going to put minus, and I'm going to put a parentheses. I'm going to do FOIL. I'm doing first. I'm doing outer and inner together. Outer is -3x, inner is -2x, that's -5x. And I'm doing last, which is 6. All right, now I'm going to apply that minus sign. The minus sign changes all the signs in the parentheses over x minus 2, x minus 1. And what happens is my x squareds go away. I got 5x minus 7 over x minus 2, x minus 1. Okay, so draw my number line now. What makes the bottom 0 is 1 and 2. So I'm going to put a 1 here, 2 there. What makes the top 0? Remember, it's the opposite of the second number, which would be positive 7, over the first number, which is 5. 7/5 is between 1 and 2. Plug in 100. If I do, that top's positive, the bottom's positive. Yeah, it's all positive, so it's plus here, minus, plus, minus. This time I'm looking for less than, which is minus. So the minus signs are less than less than 1, which is there, and also between 7/5 and the 2. Hope that makes some sense. All right, number 10. Number 10. 10 is a little bit different. It may be the toughest. I don't think it's the toughest one, but it may be one that there's the biggest chance of making a mistake on. I factored that one. I'm going to move this fraction over, and to save time, I'm going to factor it at the same time. It becomes minus because I'm moving it, across. So I'm going to factor the bottom of it also, make it x plus 5, x plus 2. And that is going to be less than or equal to 0. So all I did on the first step is I factored everything, and I moved the fraction on the right side over to the left side. All right, so my common denominator is every single factor. So I have x plus 2, x minus 2, and x plus 5. That's all the factors. I know x plus 2 is up there twice. That's already in common. You don't have to write that twice. Now, back in the day, and y'all were so good in class, you remember this today, I would look at that fraction right there and what's it missing? What's it need to become this denominator? All right, I need to put that there. It needs an x plus 5. So I'm going to do 3 times x plus 5, which is 3x plus 15. Now, this one needs the x minus 2. So I'm going to multiply the 5 times x minus 2. But be careful, it's really a -5. So I'm doing -5 times x and -5 times -2. I add the stuff on the top. I get -2x plus 25. On the bottom, I've got x plus 2, x minus 2, x plus 5. And that's less than or equal to 0. All right, so when I start working that out, my number line, I'm going to have a -5, a -2, a positive 2. That's a -2. It's not a bad one. And the top, again, the opposite of the second number over the first. -25 over -2 is positive 25 halves. So I'm going to plug in 100. If I plug in 100 on the top, it's negative. On the bottom, it's like plus, plus, plus. So negative divided by positive is a negative. So I get negative out here, positive, negative. It's a bunch of stuff, a bunch of signs this time. And I'm looking for the negatives because it says less than 0. So I'm going to make a little room here. It's negative from negative infinity to -5 with the bracket. It's also negative from -2 to positive 2 with brackets. It's also negative with a bracket from 25 halves to forever. Pretty good problem right there. All right, let's keep going. What's next? The last one on the front. I hope you're watching this video. If you're watching this, I actually kind of messed this up in class today. And so because I did that in class and not everybody watched it, I'm going to let you omit this one tomorrow. Don't use a star. You can just omit number 11. That was my fault in class today, so I'm going to let you omit that one. All right, number 12, horizontal asymptote. Remember, there are 3 rules. This one, the bottom degree is bigger. Anytime the bottom degree is bigger, it's y equals 0. Y equals 0. Number 13, determine the oblique asymptote. Oblique means slant. You have to divide to find it. Okay, so because the bottom's x plus 3, we can do synthetic. I'm putting -3 in the box. I've got 1, 4, -1. Bring the 1 down. 1 times -3 is -3. Add, that's 1. Now, this is the one time in your life you do not have to worry about the remainder. You can stop right there because all you need is the slope and the intercept. That number represents the slope. That represents the intercept. So y equals 1x plus 1. That's it. You may not get 1s tomorrow, but the first number is your slope. It goes in front of your x. The second number is your y-intercept. Number 14, make a hand-drawn graph of that right there. Be sure to label the asymptotes, list the domain, x-intercepts. So you got to do a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that function and I'm going to factor what I can. So I get this. I get x over x plus 3. All right, so let's start where we always do. Let's start with vertical. Vertical asymptote is whatever makes the bottom 0. There are 2 things, 0 and -3. And you got to write them separately, please. Horizontal asymptote has the 3 rules. That's the same thing we did on 12 a minute ago. Look at the degree. The bigger degree is in the denominator, so that's y equals 0. There's my horizontal. My x-intercept, the way you do x-intercept is whatever makes your numerator 0. So look over here, numerator is x, so it's just 0. Okay, then to find the y-intercept, remember what you do for y-intercept is you put 0 in for all the x's. Now, or you can cover up the x's. This time, if I put 0 in for the x's, it makes the denominator 0, which you can't have, which means there's no y-intercept. Now, I'm going to graph it real quick, which really means I'm punching it in my calculator. But before I do that, I'm going to put let me draw my graph real quick here, or real slow as this seems to be going. Okay, my 2 vertical asymptotes. I need a different color. Okay, one vertical asymptote is x equals 0, which is there. The other one's x equals -3, which is there. The horizontal asymptote is y equals 0, which is there. The x-intercept is 0. There is no y-intercept at all. And so, yeah, I'm going to take my calculator, punch it in, and draw the graph. Also, please be careful when you punch this in your calculator because you need to have parentheses. Also, one thing I didn't notice, and I should have done this, when I factored it, I should have canceled those x's. Okay, so what I'm really graphing is this. I'm really graphing 1 over x plus 3. So I'm going to repunch that, sorry. Okay, so when I repunch that and I look at this, that also takes away that. Okay, it takes away that vertical asymptote. So there's no vertical asymptote at 0 because we canceled it out when we canceled our graph. So when I punch it in, my graph looks like this. It goes here and it also goes there. Okay, just like that. Actually, it goes down, like this right here. So the domain is going to be everything from -infinity until you get to -3. It actually jumps over the -3 and goes from -3 to forever. Remember, domain is how far your graph's going left to right. All right, number 15. 15 says find the inverse. All right, find the inverse. The inverse, x and y switch. So 9, 5 becomes 5, 9. -3, 4 becomes 4, -3. -3, 7 becomes 7, -3. 8, -1 becomes -1, 8. And there you go. 16. This one's been on several tests lately. You should be pretty good at this by now. F of x equals, it says degree 5. 1 is a 0th multiplicity 2. 1 comes from here. Multiplicity 2 means the exponent is 2. 0 is a 0 multiplicity 2. 0 is just x. That's when you just have x. It says it has multiplicity 2, which is x squared. And the last thing it says is -1 has multiplicity 1. -1 comes from there. Multiplicity 1 means the exponent's 1 or just no exponent at all. Now check this. Is it degree 5? Are there 5 x's? Heck yeah, there are. 17. 17 just says divide using synthetic division. I'm putting the 2 in the box. Watch this. 1, 0, 2, 0, -3, 0. Okay, there's a 0 at the end because there's no, I'm going to call that Adv here. Adv in class, they said there's no plain number at the end. I like it. There's no constant at the end. You must put a 0 there if there's no number. So Let's divide. Bring the 1 down, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply. Wait a minute. 1, 2. Multiply again, you get 42. That's your remainder. Now, don't forget, don't leave your answer like this. Write your answer. Your quotient starts 1 degree less than we started. So I'm going to put 1x to the 4th, 2x cubed, 6x squared, 12x plus 21. And then don't forget the 42. The 42 goes on top of the x minus 2 at the end. All right, and the last one here, 18. In behavior, you got to find the degree. You got to find the leading coefficient. Now, this one's kind of weird. The degree, the leading term is right there. Okay, it's in the middle. It's even and it's negative. Even negative means both ends go down. It's like an upside down parabola. Both ends go down. All right, I hope that helped. Wear this video out. Good luck tomorrow. Have a great break. I'll see you when we all get back.